Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 94 of the Everything Moto Racing podcast. Riders of number 94, please.
Rather appropriate for this weekend, right? Mr. Jonas Folger.
Indeed.
And that's it, I'm out now.
Lauren had no idea about that one.
Oh my God, there's no way. I've just watched the whole weekend of bikes and didn't pick up on that.
Oh dear.
Oh God, if people could see my face right there.
The realization, like, oh shit,
dear.
yeah. Whoops.
Awkward.
There is a very famous, another 94 actually. There's not in MotoGP. They do ride motorbikes though. On mud, I'll give you a hint. They ride on mud, on dirt. Maybe in indoor arenas for half the year, and then they go outdoors as well. They race in America. They're German. And he fucked his arm up years ago to the point where it nearly got amputated, and then he managed to come back and win races.
I bet if you say it, I'm going to kick myself. But go
Jacob would be like, if Jacob was on it, he'd be like, oh my God, he'd be on it. He'd have been on it. It's
and
Ken Roxon.
Oh, okay.
Ken Roxon.
No, I can't say I'm familiar. I do apologise.
How do you not know Ken Roxon is? What the
I tell you why. So my address is a rock and I live under it. So
yours, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yes, hope you've had a good week. We are back. And I'm so ready for a rant today. Oh my word.
Let's go.
So we've had a weekend of MotoGP, if you couldn't tell, in the Circuit of Americas without the King of Costa, Marc Marquez, which is a shame because I kind of wanted to see what he could do. And I was like, what did I say the other day? I think I said it maybe on last week's podcast, but I was like, I think I said it on last week's podcast. I was like, it's a shame that Marquez have been missing Cota because it's pretty much Honda's only chance of a win this year, barring Sachsenring.
Yeah, I think you did say that, actually. Yeah.
That
sounds about right.
Yeah, I'm now eating my words, aren't I? Again.
I mean, God, surely Marquez was watching this being like, that could have been me.
Yeah, could have been. Marquez was watching the race.
Yeah.
I wonder what he was feeling like, but I'm also wondering what Alex Marquez was feeling like, knowing that he rode that LCR Honda for years as well.
Well, he threw up in his helmet during the weekend, so I think that's pretty much how he feels about the situation.
Yeah, I did see a photo of it all, like, everywhere. I was like,
no.
Oh.
Yeah, it was lovely, actually. Yeah, it was great. Great viewing. But yeah, so before we go into the rant, of course, Alex Rins.
Alex wins. Put some respect.
Alex wins.
Alex
Big
wins.
W.
Put respect on his name. What a goat.
Massive respect. Like, the fact that he's ridden in MotoGP and inline 4 for an entirety of his career, just 3 races on a V4, on the Honda, which is massively regarded as the worst bike on the grid, and wins the race in his 3rd race.
Fairly comfortably as well.
Very comfortably with a massive, like a 3-second lead. Then it dropped a little bit and then he made it back when Luca Marini was chasing. He had that in the bag. That was all his all day long.
Yeah.
Superb.
Like, kind of lost for words with him, really. It's just like, what a change for, from Mugello 2021, where he binned it yet again and he was crashing into vans on his bicycle. To this. Like, that's a good turnaround, I have to say.
It's unbelievable. Like in 2022, literally, like he had in maybe a lot of years, 2021, like you said, he had 4 DNFs in a row, including a crash in Jerez, but he finished. Catalunya obviously missed it. Then last year, again, he crashed at Jerez, and then DNF did not start in Sachsenring. Like
he was also the only guy who could. Well, I say could. He was the only one that did beat Pecco in a dry race in the second half of last year when Pecco was seemingly unstoppable.
Yeah.
He was the only one that did it. And,
wait. No, we're near Bastianini, didn't it?
In the second half of the season.
Yeah.
Bastianini beat him at
Catalan. No.
Okay, maybe I've got that wrong. He was the only one who wasn't on a Ducati that could do it then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Australia and Valencia, obviously, as well.
Yeah.
not on a Ducati though. And surely that makes it more impressive. Yeah, that was a wet race.
Jack Miller won the wet as well. Yeah. And Nea Bastianini won at Aragon. That was it.
That's the one.
That's the one. Yeah.
I believe my point stands. But
okay. I back you. Yeah.
I'll give you it.
Imagine he'd been on a Ducati.
Well, he might get a Ducati seat in a couple of years if he keeps riding like this.
He's like, for me, probably one of the most underrated riders on the grid.
By far.
Yeah.
Massively
He's starting to
underrated.
get the recognition, though, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people seem to love him as well. It's great.
He's just a good character, a great character, if anything. Like, he's just fun-loving. Like, I think everybody just roots for him to win. Like, for a while, to be honest, personally, I didn't really like him. I don't really know why. He just kind of, like, when he talked, I was just a bit like, ugh. I
just don't think you got to see his personality. Whereas now, because we've seen quite a lot of him in, like, podiums and wins, especially, like, at the end of last season and the start of this season. In the last 6 races, he's won half of them.
Oh my God.
Just to put that stat out there.
Whoa. Like, oh my God.
Pretty cool if you think about it. And I think in that you've been able to see his personality because he's been on the podium. You see his interviews more, like he gets more of your screen time and you actually realise, he's actually kind of cool and kind of funny and has a good personality and seems to be a good guy, which bodes well in MotoGP. When you have a personality, people love that.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? Like, he's all right, Like, Alex Rins, you're all right.
You're all right.
Oh, yeah, because he's totally listening right now as well.
Yeah, he's definitely listening. Yeah.
Our mate Alex. Yep.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier about eating my own words. And there's another rider who's making me eat my own words a bit, and that's Francesco Bagnaia, who's, like we said last week, is a bit of an enigma in himself anyway. But I remember after when he absolutely wiped the floor with everybody I'm going to go on a bit of a rant here. So like he wiped the floor with everybody in the opening round of the season at Portimao. And you're like, oh my God, like, this is it now. It's going to be Bagnaia's year again. He's come back from 91-point deficit last year. Nothing can keep this man down now. Like, he is going to be on it this year. And then he crashes out of the feature race from second place in Argentina. And you're like, what the hell, dude? Like, surely you've sorted this pressure thing out by now. Like, what the hell's going on? And so he comes to Cota and you're like, right, he's already thrown 20 points up the road. He's lost the championship lead to Bezzecchi now. There's no way he can do it again. There's no way. And then he goes into all the practices. He looks really fast. All throughout practice. He gets pole position with a new lap record and the only ever rider to do a 2:01 around the circuit. And you're like, there's no one else that's going to beat him around this circuit. There's a fat, long straight there as well. He looks unbelievable around this circuit. Then he goes and does the sprint race and wins by nearly 3 seconds in a sprint race.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, this guy, he's learning again from his mistakes. He made a mistake, fair enough, but he's chill. He's like, okay, right, I've done it again, despite, doing the one thing I shouldn't have been doing in 2021 and 2022. I'm going to stop making these errors now. And then he goes and stacks it from P1 with a decent enough lead
and
in the feature race. And then goes and blames the Ducati,
this is the
saying that it's too stable. You're like, what?
Ugh.
It's 100% not my fault. What do you mean?
Those words.
Do you mean?
You're on the best bike on the grid by a
probably the
margin.
best MotoGP bike ever created.
Yeah.
For in a non-sentimental view, absolutely.
Yeah.
In terms of technical machinery, that thing is clearly it's the fastest bike that you can be on. And what was it he said? It's too stable. So he didn't know when it's on the edge.
I'll get the quote here now. I'm just removing the motorsport.com paywall and I'll read it out to you. So Lewis Duncan at motorsport.com has written, basically the quote is that, I don't know what happened. What the hell? I don't know what happened. I don't know how many laps this weekend. Maybe 80, maybe 100. Pushing, controlling, understanding any feedback from the bike. Anytime I lost the front during the weekend. And then the race was in total control when I crashed. So I'm very angry, but not with myself because I'm 100% sure it was not my fault today. In Argentina, I recognised I was a bit on the limit, but today not. Today something happened, but not in terms of a cold tyre or the wind. So he's ruled out cold tyre or the wind straight away because I was like, maybe it's a wind because that would caught a few riders out. We have to understand from the bike because we have the best bike. It's the best bike on the grid. But if you crash and you don't know why, it's useless. Because I lost 45 points in 2 weekends. So we have to understand that maybe we need a more unstable bike. I prefer to go 1/10 closer, so lose a tenth, but understand everything because right now it's very difficult because I feel unbeatable. I feel I can do everything. So like today I was going fast without taking any risk, without doing anything crazy, entering very calm in corner 2 because I knew it was more slippery and I still crashed. So I really hope my team will help me with because I'm sure the performance of GP23 is incredible, the best bike I've ever ridden, but for the race we need to understand what happened.
I didn't know there was more to this quote. I thought it cut off by him saying that it wasn't his fault. I didn't know there was more to this. Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh, there's a bit more actually. Hold on. Oh. Maybe it has too much of a filter because it's so stable. Like I said, you feel that you can do everything better because I feel unbeatable on my bike. Doing a time attack, managing tyres. Yesterday we demonstrated everything was perfect. Whole weekend was perfect. When I decided to push, I was doing 203s, and when I opened the gap, I was consistently 203.4, 203.5. So maybe we have to lose a bit of stability to lose a bit of the filter to be more on the tyres. Sincerely, this bike is perfect, but if you crash and lose 45 points, something is not perfect.
And
then he basically went on to say he's lucky that 2 title contenders are out.
Oh my God. What was it we were saying last year about the sort of petulance that you seem to get every now and then with Pecco? Like,
petulant Pecco.
This is it sort of, and it's just indicative of his, I don't know, is he getting like frustrated and sort of in his own head already?
This
We're 3
guy.
rounds in.
Go on. Laura, are you going to say something?
Well,
No.
I'm speechless actually now, to be honest.
Yeah.
How can you... I guarantee, right, because Martin's on the bike, Zarco's on the bike, Bastianini's meant to be on the bike but hasn't really been able to ride it. I don't hear any of them complaining about it. Obviously, Martin hasn't really been able to prove anything because he keeps stacking it. But Zarco...
He's been good, apart from this weekend, but... He didn't have any of the same complaints as Pecco, so it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, and I understand like different riding styles and things like that. They always come into play, but
careful what you wish for. Maybe we need a bit more instability. Rins, who won the race on that Honda, is probably like, if you want to swap,
I'll take it.
That's
fine. I will
sure.
take it.
Give it a go.
Literally, if you want an unstable bike, go and fucking sit on a Honda, mate. Because
Jesus,
I don't understand how you can slate the bike like that. I understand from Fabio's point, where Fabio was slating the bike and saying there was no acceleration, it was just losing top speed and things like that. And I get that completely, but to say your bike is too good and you have no feeling, it just seems like a Pecco problem.
But it's just like, without being horrible, it's like you've ruled out every possibility that it could be, and you're going, I don't understand what's going on. But maybe you do need to take a look in the mirror and be like, well, if I've ruled everything out and I haven't found an issue, but you're saying it's not yourself, have you looked into yourself and what you're thinking and how you're performing? Because at the minute, the only issue I see is Pecco's head has gone, clearly, but only in the main race. It's really confusing.
Yeah, the one where, in theory, the pressure
matters.
is on more.
Yeah,
exactly. It all boils down to bike's perfect. We've lost 45 points. Wasn't me. But there's your contradiction of terms there. It wasn't me, but the bike's perfect. So, I mean, it's the old Pecco problem, isn't it? That's what's happening.
I don't understand him. He goes on about, not being a sports psychiatrist and stuff like that because he's like, oh, yeah, everybody else has them. I don't need them. And then he does crashes like this. And we mentioned last time about him struggling with pressure and things like that. And the guy just loses his head constantly. If anybody should have felt pressure this weekend in that main race, it was Alex Rins because he was following the guy who had just demolished everyone in the sprint race, had set pole with the fastest ever lap of the circuit. Alex Rins could have cruised for a second and it would have been still an unbelievably good result for him and for everybody. All Pecco had to do was cross the finishing line and set X amount of laps, and to then blame the tyres saying that you can't really feel it and things like that. Like,
but it was okay in the sprint race. He crashed out in lap 7. The sprint race was 12 laps.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
Like,
if he'd crashed,
compound.
if he'd crashed later in the race, you go, okay, well, he doesn't have that sort of data. He hasn't ridden the bike for that long, and they didn't. Maybe he went for the wrong tire compound or something. Like that would make sense.
And the sprint race was hotter as well, right? So in theory, there was less grip in the sprint race. It was to the point where it was kind of greasy. It was so hot, it was greasy. Cooler tracks, a bit grippier.
Most of the riders in the sprint race use a soft tyre because, I mean, it makes sense.
Well, yeah.
Let's have a look. Humidity, 30 degrees air temperature for the sprint race, and ground 45. But ground was 41 in the main race, but then it was 21 in the air temperature. And they would have been using a medium tyre instead of the soft tyre, which again would make sense. Or medium, maybe hard. I don't know actually specifically what he used. I'm trying to find it now, but I'm struggling.
Who else binned it on turn 2 though? Anyone in the race?
Let's have a look. I'm just trying to remember off the top of my head. Alex Leish was a bit further on. Bradle was where was Bradle? I'm not sure. Nakagami was T1. Binder was like later on the lap. Mir was like T4 or 5. Miller was like T9 or something like that.
Turn 12
Martin
as well.
Leish was, Martin and Alex Marquez, sorry, was a bit earlier in the lap, but it wasn't T2. There was a few riders who had issues there. There was a lot of riders across the weekend who had near crashes. Ortola was obviously one of them.
Yeah.
I think Furman Alder had a massive crash there early in the weekend. But
if it was a Ducati problem, there's 8 of them on the grid. Surely another one would have went down there if the Ducati couldn't do it. I don't know.
Yeah, you just think there would be a theme, like a reoccurring theme throughout the weekend, that like it would have been a reoccurring issue. But he said it himself that obviously he felt so good all weekend. He was riding pretty much perfect.
Yeah, he was.
And all the other bikes too is the thing. Like no one else was matching him, but no one else was having a problem that matches up to the issue that he had in the race.
Yeah.
So I don't know. To say you're unbeatable, that you feel unbeatable the rest of the time, I think it's, the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm actually getting quite annoyed about this situation. Like, that's so rich, but okay.
It's arrogant, but I think he has the right to be arrogant because of his achievements last year.
Oh, yeah. And it's early. That's the thing. Like, it's 3 races in. At the end of the day, Marco Bezzecchi could do the same thing in a couple races, and just like that, boom, Pecco's back in the lead. That's the person he's got to beat at the minute. So unless someone else comes in and takes over and becomes really dominant, Pecco still has a very, very long chance to be dominant.
Like 11 back.
Get over it. Maybe he's doing what he did last year.
Sandbagging and then just... It's like he hates the opening 6 rounds, 7, 8 rounds of the season, and then he's like, all right, let's go again.
Could be.
Sandbagging maybe, but it's weird. Like, we had 3 races, 111 points on offer so far, and Bezzecchi's only scored 64 of them. So there's a lot of riding that can be done. There's a lot of points to be made up, by anybody. The fact that Rins is freaking third in the championship at 47, only 6 behind Bagnaia, is nuts. The fact that Viñales is 45 points, so 2 behind the Rins. It reminds me of 2020 a little bit, where it's kind of anyone's game at the moment.
Yeah.
If you look in that top 10, to be honest, you've got Bagnaia in second, Quartararo in 7th, but everybody else there has a genuine shot. I think.
Yeah.
Everyone does though.
With all these points on offer, including the sprints, it's gonna be a consistency win this year again, like in 2020. Yeah,
of course. And it will be interesting. I think Luca Marini is it's come a good bit. Viñales for me. We'll step away from what's his face a little bit, Pecco for a little bit.
Oh my God.
What's his face, Becker? The current MotoGP world champion. Viñales is intriguing me a lot because he had a shit start in the race and he's complained about the same thing in the sprint race as well, but has this thing where he can obviously make up a lot of places, and he had a missing wing in the race as well and still finished 4th place after being dunked off the start and was like 12th, 13th.
Wild.
And managed to make it up to 4th
with a wing missing. Absolutely insane.
I don't know
how to feel.
He can sort these starts, obviously everything's ifs and buts and but Viñales for me is a dark horse this year. Like, he struggled in Argentina with 12th and then a 7th, but when we go back to Europe next time round in Jerez, I think he is very much a dark horse because Rins, I can't see him being too consistent on that Honda.
No.
Bagnaia is Bagnaia. Bezzecchi isn't expected to do anything special because he's on last year's bike. He's very talented, of course, but that's the great thing about MotoGP is the riders you don't expect to do amazing things go and do amazing things. Fabio Quartararo is a perfect example of that. Viñales, though, I think if he can continue this form, he's already got a 2nd in Portimao as well, and start to kind of rack up some consistent podiums, rack up some consistent wins, and most importantly, get those starts sorted out, I really do think he's going to be a dark horse this year, especially to go through the pack like he did.
Yeah. I think the problem with Maverick Viñales, though, is that he's his own worst enemy.
Yeah.
Like,
if that bike ain't perfect, nah.
If the conditions aren't perfect, if he maybe hasn't done his warm-up right on that day, if someone has said something to him wrong, if someone's bloody looked at him the wrong way before the race starts, I feel like that affects him.
If his toast isn't buttered the right way, honestly.
Exactly. His coffee's cold.
Anything.
I don't know what it is, but he seems to have a reoccurring issue, and it seems to be he's in his own head a lot of the time. And if he did start at the front, I really do think that he would be pretty unstoppable because the Aprilia is obviously there, and we're coming into like decent. 2nd, 3rd season of it sort of being there and being a front bike. But I don't know. What's confusing me more though is Aleix, because I really thought it would be Aleix in Maverick's position.
Yeah, it's almost
not.
as if Aleix is like suffering from success of last year, the expectations. He crashed out of the main race today. He was in 3rd place at one point during the opening lap. Crashed in the opening lap, unfortunately. Did get 4th in the sprint race. It's almost like it's, again, I don't want to speak, it's only been 3 races in a day, and we're all speculating and things like that because you kind of have to this early on, but it's almost like his career has peaked, and I don't know if he can do it again. I'd love to see it, but with a 15th in Argentina and another DNF in the main race, and a retirement in the main race here, he got a great 4th place, battling with Jorge Martin for the podium in the sprint race, which is fantastic. But he needs to, I guess, these tracks are always anomalies. I can't say that word. Anomalies. There you go.
Good. Anomalies.
Yeah. Anomalies. There you go.
I don't know if that's quite
I
either,
don't think you're right.
I don't think it's right at all, but screw it.
An anomaly.
An anomaly.
I can't say it.
See an enemy.
Jesus Christ.
Okay.
I don't know. Oh my God. But these 2 tracks, at least, Argentina and America, are definitely out of the box tracks. You see surprise results and you see riders kind of doing things that are not meant to. And then when we get back to the swing of things in Europe, Jerez, Le Mans, Mugello, you've got Sachsenring, you've got Assen. That's the tracks that the riders know very well. The conditions are very same across Europe.
Yeah.
The conditions the riders are very used to, and that's when we'll probably see Aleix kind of come back to the fore, and I'd love to see that for him. But with Miguel Oliveira knocking on his doorstep already, with 2 points behind him in the championship, finishing in 5th place overall.
Yeah.
He wants that seat. Miguel is hungry for that factory seat. He's on last year's bike as well, don't forget.
But last year's bike was good.
It was very good.
I don't know if Aprilia made that much of a step forward this year. I don't think they had to because the bike was so good last year.
Yeah, but keeping on Aprilia, they are still having the same issues as last year. Ralph Fernandez and Aleix both had issues with their rear height device, which is why Aleix crashed from the race, because its rear height device didn't sort itself out. You saw it last year in Sachsenring. It cost Viñales his race.
Yeah.
We saw it with Aleix a few times last year as well. And it's Aprilia on this rear ride height device. They just seem to be having problems with it, which maybe is why Viñales' start as well was horrendous as well. We don't actually know. I haven't got anything concrete on that one, but
are they? So if some of them got a different setup, because I know some of them are done via GPS, right? And then some of them are done manually. Am I right in saying that?
Most of them are done manually, but yeah, some can be done by a GPS, but 90% of them are just the buttons on the...
yeah. I don't know if there's a sort of link there, if Raul and Aleix had like a GPS one or something. I don't know, but... Yeah,
because Aprilia's, I believe, and unfortunately we haven't got Jacob to confirm. But yeah, I think Aprilia's one is a little bit different in the fact that they do have something to do with the GPS, which is why it's kind of getting stuck on. Because I remember something about Viñales' electronics messing up last year, which is why he had an issue with it. But obviously, can't confirm that for a fact. But it just seems to be that, I don't know, is Aleix, has he peaked already? I hope not.
I think he's done what he's needed to do for Aprilia.
Yeah.
To make them front runners. Like maybe we all sort of got lost in the dream of him becoming a world champion and a multiple time race winner. But when you actually look what he's done for Aprilia, like maybe that's all it's meant to be. But in saying that, it's pretty darn good to be a part of that.
Oh yeah.
And to have your name to that. So I don't know. It's a bit early to say, but maybe this is all he was meant to do for Aprilia.
Yeah.
And I say this is all he's meant
season.
to do as if he's done nothing, but like he's developed that bike to being a race winning bike. So like he deserves all the credit, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And I think, he's done really well where he is. And if he doesn't ever reach those heights again, it's fine, because he's like you said, done what he needs to do. And I think Aleix is in a point of a career as well where he's kind of maybe looking to step back a little bit. He's 33, he's one of the oldest riders on the grid and stuff like that. And if that is just the year that he gets, and that's the year of all the culmination of his hard work, like we're talking like this, like we haven't got 19 more rounds, no, 17 more rounds, 18 more rounds, but...
We're being dramatic.
We are being dramatic, we're always being dramatic, but it's kind of like... I want to see him. I think he will fight for podiums and wins this year, definitely.
Yeah.
I can't see that out of the occasion, but will he be fourth place in the championship again this year? Not sure about that at the moment, but as we know in MotoGP, anything can happen. And it's all speculation because that's all we can do.
Isn't it fun?
Isn't it fun? But Viñales has 45 points to his name and nearly triple the tally of Aleix. Is very telling on what Aprilia can do.
Yeah, I think they'll swap places this year.
Yeah.
In terms of like performance.
Hierarchy and things like that.
Yeah, being up there. I think if Aleix does decide to take a step back, that now they've got Miguel Oliveira in the satellite team. Like you've got a rider to take that spot who's proving to do very well on your satellite bike. So it's sort of a win-win situation for Aprilia. They've had someone who's managed to bring the bike up to the front, and now they've got riders in their ranks on the sidelines.
In their ranks that can do it, yeah.
Yeah, waiting to step up. Yeah,
absolutely. Right. Speaking of riders looking to step up, Luca Marini is impressing, has finally made that step up onto the podium.
Woohoo!
Good
finally,
segue.
Like,
nice.
Yeah, thank you. He has been knocking on that door for ages now, that podium. Very nearly got one at Austria when Brad Binder won the race and on those insane conditions. It's nice to see as well, I think. Last time Rins won at this circuit, he was battling Valentino Rossi.
Yeah.
Fast forward a few years later, and he's battling his brother.
Wow.
For the same win. And Rins, I believe it was Rins, one of them said, I think it was Rins, said that Marini was worse
You're
than
worse
Valentino.
than your brother.
What did he mean by that? Like,
you're worse than your brother was the quote. I just don't know who said it.
Yeah.
No, I don't know who said it either, but I'm like, oh.
I think Rins said it to Marini, right?
I'm sure he did. Yeah, it was either that or Fabio Quartararo. I think maybe Fabio said it.
It would make more sense for Fabio to say it, but
I saw the quote, but I haven't actually seen who's seen it. Let's have a look. Let's have I can't bother to find it. But
I just didn't click on the video when I
No, I didn't either. I
was like, oh, interesting, and just scroll past.
Yeah, but if Marini is worse than Valentino, he's got a fire in him we haven't seen yet.
He just seems so laid back.
He does. He just seems chill.
It almost feels like he doesn't care about it, which I know is not the truth whatsoever. But even in his after-race interviews, I was just like, he just wants to go open a beer and chill out on a sofa.
Yeah, chill out
he doesn't look like he wants to go celebrate. He doesn't seem that ecstatic about it. But at the same time, it was like a faultless race, and it's really impressive from him. I thought he'd be a bit more animated.
Like, oh my god, yeah, he's a funny one, but maybe that is the case, and he looks chill, but under that helmet when he is riding, he is that's when the devil comes out,
He deserves to be there.
And he is fast.
Oh yeah, 100%. He's just the polar opposite to his brother is the thing.
Literally.
They are just complete different people, which I mean obviously yes, but it's weird to see. I think people sort of, maybe I have that expectation of him to be a bit more bubbly personality, but they are polar opposites of each other.
It is interesting. It's weird as well that it's not the same father they share of Graziano Rossi, who was the ex-Grand Prix racer. It's the same mother they have.
Yeah.
So it's not even like Marini's got his speed from the dad as well. It's because he's got it from his mother.
I'd say it's all down to the mum anyway.
Yeah, I think that's probably why Marini's so chill out,
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
But that Ducati speed though on the straight when he overtook Quartararo, was unbelievable.
Embarrassing.
It was like he was on the Moto2 bike.
In my helmet, if I was Fabio Quartararo.
If I were Lynn Jarvis, I'd be like, oh.
Yeah, because I believe Ducati, obviously they have their mappings, as we know. They have got a DRS thing, like F1 do. Basically, there is a mapping on that Ducati where you can set it to overtake mode. You can only use it a few times a race because it literally burns fuel like nothing else. And Marini clearly used that on the straight and just absolutely hammered past Quartararo. And you got to think Fabio's just a sitting duck at that point. He is I can't do anything right now. It doesn't matter how hard he rides, how well Quartararo brakes, how late he brakes and things like that, because that was his thing. Back in 2019, 2020, Quartararo's thing was that he could outbrake pretty much anybody on that grid. Mm-hmm. That was where he made up his time. But now he can't do that. Now he's braking too late and nearly crashing or running wide and having all these problems and overcooking his tyres because he's having to brake too late. And he literally, at this point, is a sitting duck. He can't do anything against... He has no weapons at this point. It's literally like bringing a knife to a gunfight for Fabio.
Yep.
Awkward. But I don't want to bring it back to Pecco Bagnaia, but did he not say something along the lines of that Fabio's in the same position as that he was last year? Or am I making that up?
Fabio's in the same position.
now in the same position that Pecco is, that he can't do anything on the bike. Do you remember Ducati had that weird start to the season last year?
Yeah. Yeah.
And Pecco didn't like the new bike.
Yes, I remember that. I'm not sure. I'll have a look quick.
Can see that being the case. But then also, it can't be the be-all and end-all because Rins was one of the slowest on average on this big trap. And he won the race. So then what gives Yamaha? What's the deal?
Yeah. The thing is with Fabio is he has said that the bike hasn't really changed in the 4 years he's ridden it.
That's worrying.
Very worrying.
I genuinely think he'd do better on the 2019 bike.
Do you?
Yeah. I think
Franco was struggling on that though, wasn't he? Franco could not ride that thing.
The 2019
2021. Yeah, because that was the bike that Jay Dixon and Dovizioso and Cal Crutchlow and all that rode when Franco got pinged up to the factory bike.
I see. Well, I don't know, but I just think even the 2020 bike, maybe it's not going in the direction it needs to. And a comfortable rider can go you know,
Comfortable
they're just
riders are
faster.
fast rider.
Yeah, exactly. A happy rider's a fast rider, all that thing. But
it's
like,
true.
yeah, if you gel with a bike, that's worth half a second a lap. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But that's what happened to Alex Rins this weekend, because he, like, the rider made the difference this weekend, and it's simply because he loves the Circuit of Americas is what made the difference, and that's why he won the race. Whereas I think with Fabio, we seen it from the last sort of 5 races last season to now the first 3 races this season. He's not comfortable on the bike.
Yeah.
He doesn't look comfortable. He doesn't look, I don't know, he doesn't look like Fabio Quartararo on the bike anymore. And I think that's a massive thing.
He can't make the difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's regretting not switching manufacturers.
I wonder what offers were on the table.
All of them.
I reckon Ducati had one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Honda, definitely. There was definitely a rumour of him and Honda.
Yeah.
Thinking of Honda, because I was going to ask this earlier, was signing Mir the best option over Rins? I think because obviously they went for Rins over previous experiences. He's a two-time world champion, Moto3 and MotoGP. He's a MotoGP race winner. On paper, Mir is the man to hire.
Mm-hmm.
I think Rins being an LCR is amazing because there's no pressure for him to perform. The family atmosphere with Lucio and all that is amazing. I think that's perfect for Rins. But for Honda, was Rins meant to go to the factory bike?
I don't think you would have got that performance from Rins
on the
factory bike.
He probably gets less say in what's going on.
Yeah.
Or he would have got less
point.
say. You know, the Repsol team they're probably a little bit more set in their ways.
Do as we say, not we'll do what you say.
This is what Mark says works at this track, so go out on that.
Yeah.
Try it. Waste 20 laps on this setup. Try and get used to it.
Yeah.
You know?
Riding like Marc Marquez rather than riding like yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Rins isn't riding like himself.
No, he's totally changed his riding style.
He's completely changed.
His riding style is freaking fantastic. I fucking love it.
Yeah.
He's just hanging all the way off. Like, oh my God.
Elbows sticking out. He's going to be scraping
He's got a proper old school.
Yeah.
It's proper old school riding style. Like, it's really nice to watch, to be honest.
I think Honda did the right thing politically. They had to kind of choose the guy who's got the MotoGP title under his belt for the factory seat. They just kind of had to. It would have been harder to justify the other way. But in terms of results, you have to say no.
Well, you said Rins has won 50% of the last 6 races.
Yeah. I fully think that this might be the kick that Honda needs, though. I think it was the right decision at the end of the day. Yes, they obviously picked Mir to go to the Repsol team because he has the World Championships, etc. But I think if LCR starts performing with Alex Rins, Honda is going to take note of that. And they're actually going to start listening to Rins. There's clearly something that he's doing right. If he can start putting in some solid, consistent performances, Honda are going to have to take notice from it. And I think they will finally start listening to their riders and make changes to the bike. So I think in that sense, they made the right decision, because I think if, like we said, if Rins went to the factory team, I don't think he'd get as much say as what he's getting now. And if he continues to put results in, people are going to have to listen, and they're going to have to change and adapt.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with Rins is he has been incredible for Honda. The fact that he was dead last in that test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they brought, in the Valencia test, and they brought Ken Kawauchi in as well. And I'm sorry, really sorry if I've butchered his name. I don't think I have, but I'm apologies if I have. From Suzuki, who Rins worked with amazingly, and Rins even said in an interview that Ken knows him like the back of his hand. There is no person in that paddock that knows Rins like Ken. Yeah. And Ken can obviously do everything he can, and same with Mir, of course, to then adapt the bikes to these riders and their riding styles and things like that. And it's clearly working with Rins, who I was like, he is, like, after Valencia, I was like, this man, I don't actually think he's ever going to win another race. I was like, after the euphoria of winning 2 of the last 3 races of the season, and all that Suzuki stuff where he won the final race and all that, and you're like, this guy is on such good form now, and it's going to go down the toilet on that Honda. And it just seems like he's managing to turn the impossible into the possible.
Yeah.
That's really
Not
it.
much to say about it. Like,
No,
it's,
that's it.
I know.
I think he's the GOAT. Put him in the Hall of
Yeah.
Fame already. He deserves
He's
it.
class.
He
He's
deserves the
class.
title.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would love to see it, especially after 2020 when he nearly got it and lost out. Speaking of another rider who nearly won the championship in 2020 and lost out, Franco Morbidelli, who was unable to repeat the performances we saw in Austin, Jesus Christ, in Argentina.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I really hope it wasn't just a fluke for Frankie.
Well, him and Fabio swapped places this week, basically.
They did.
They both had a crap start to the season in the first race. Franco had a fantastic weekend in Argentina. Now Fabio's, well, I know the sprint race wasn't good, but the main race was good, and that's what matters, big points. So I don't know, moving forward, is it going to continue like this? Is one going to perform well one weekend and then sort of it flip-flops around? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But I am disappointed that he hasn't backed it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the thing is as well with Franco, which is a bit worrying, is the fact that Toprak has obviously tested the bike recently, which Lynn Jarvis came out and basically said, we are fully focused on Frankie. He basically just said that the Jorge Martin rumours are just rumours, and that's it for the time being. But how often have we heard that?
I think they'll be looking at Moto2. I'm not going into it too much because obviously we spoke about it in a million podcast episodes now, but they're going to have to be looking at Moto2.
Yeah.
Rather than bringing Toprak in. So.
Yeah, of course. Franco has actually blamed the tyres for the his issues. Basically, he said that he had the feeling his bike wasn't very good, but he had to be aggressive right away. But then saved himself because he saw everybody crashing and wanted to just take an eighth instead of just stuck it down the road. But he did say there was some issues with his tyres and things like that, and the Michelin just weren't giving him the feeling that he was after. There we go.
I mean,
He basically said, the quote is, the races, I'm literally translating this off the top of my head right now, the races would be more fun if the tyres worked.
Well, I mean, we'll see what happens at Europe when we get to Jerez, because obviously Austin, the surface is terrible. I can't imagine that track suiting Frankie at all because he likes to be smooth, and that track is, well, it's a motocross track without
Anything
the dirt.
but.
Yeah. It's, I just can't. Frankie was never going to have a good weekend there. Even if the Yamaha was the best bike in the grid, he wouldn't have won.
No,
if he was on form,
would have either.
It was not. It's just not a track for him. So I'll take.
Jerez will be good for him though. He's always been good there on Jerez. Even when he was on that shit 2019 bike in 2021.
Yeah, he's good to corner to corner and sort of edge to edge. Yeah, he's good with that stuff. Getting the flow and the rhythm. He's good with that.
Yeah. Yamaha in general should be better. I'm hoping for a step up.
Yeah, Fabio's always done well at Jerez.
Exactly.
So I'm really hoping for a good one from Fabio. And speaking of Jerez, I'm doing these segues quite well. Speaking of the Jerez race winner from a few years ago, Jack Miller, crashed from third place on the KTM, but has said that yes, he crashed and was a bit sad about that, but he's freaking overwhelmed and overjoyed by the fact that he was freaking third place.
Yeah,
on the KTM in his third race on the bike. He is doing wonders on that bike.
He has done. I think him crashing out of third place and making a mistake pushing hard makes more sense than Pecco crashing out of first place. Like, I can put it together. KTM don't like the Circuit of Americas. They never like the Circuit of Americas. I think it would suit Jack a bit better. Like, they seem to be having a better weekend.
They got Podium there last year after all, so...
Yeah, they seem to be having a better weekend, and then it sort of all just fell apart because obviously both riders crashed. I mean, Binder managed to get some points basically just by getting back on the bike and riding around, having a cup of tea. But, I mean, it's really positive from Jack, even though he crashed. Like,
I
really,
think
really
he'll
positive.
win a race. I think he'll win this year.
Yeah.
And then that would make him. That would give him like pretty
it'd be the first ever.
Would it be the first ever to win on three
It'd be the
manufacturers?
first ever MotoGP class. So they've done it in the 500s and things like that.
Right.
but the first ride in the MotoGP era, solely
Yeah.
MotoGP era, because I think it was Capirossi won 2 500cc's and then one on the Ducati. Because he won Yamaha, I think it was Honda, Capirossi, and then Ducati.
Yeah.
But Jack Miller will be the first ever MotoGP only era to win on 3 manufacturers.
Maverick could do it,
Maverick as well can do it, yeah.
Ooh.
but that's it.
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only ones. Rossi nearly did it, couldn't. There's a few riders who really nearly could, but didn't.
Lorenzo, maybe. But
Jorge Lorenzo, yeah.
If Alex Rins switches again, he'll get it.
On the Ducati. Alex
Yeah.
Rins, the thing is, Alex Rins has the advantage where he could just jump on a Ducati.
yeah,
You
whenever
know, he's already done it on the bikes that like can't really do it or could do it sometimes. So now he can hop on a good bike and just bang it at freaking Qatar, you know?
yeah.
But yeah, it's great from Miller, and I'm hoping to see more of it. Another rider who did really well was Marco Bezzecchi, took 6th place. Like, yes, maybe expect more from the title leader, but the same way, he's on last year's bike. He's on a satellite bike. He is not expected to be battling for wins every week because he's a satellite rider in the VR46 squad, which is an independent team. 6th place is actually really solid.
Solid.
Yeah. He did the right thing. Like
he stayed on.
He would have seen that Pecco crashed. He knows he's in the lead of the championship, and he's going, I'm going to bank some solid points here. Thanks, Pecco, for giving me a bit of a boost.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's a good job he did stay on. I was just looking down the thing now. Rins was the only Honda that finished.
Yeah.
Including Bradle. Ah,
They all-
jeez.
they all
Nakagami
crashed.
Mir crashed.
Ah,
Like, Honda would be elated, but also like, oh my God.
yeah.
Yeah, they'll be having a serious meeting today about it, but like yesterday they would have been celebrating the hell out of it. But
Oh,
that's
yeah.
concerning, to be
That is
honest. And if Rins
very
wasn't on
concerning.
the LCR, all 4 bikes would have been in
Yeah.
the gravel, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And 2 more riders. Before we move on to Moto2, 2 more riders that did stack it as well was Alex Marquez and Jorge Martin. Marquez, obviously, it's weird to say Marquez was an innocent party in a crash, isn't it? Because we're not talking about his brother taking somebody else out. But thankfully, it was Alex getting taken out. I mean, that's not really thankful.
Thankfully,
You know?
yeah. Jeez.
It's not thankful. I don't want to see anyone get taken out, but you know what I mean.
Jeez, oh.
Yeah, but Jorge Martin, it's ironic, really, given the fact that he was slated Marquez for always taking people out last weekend, and then he goes and takes Alex out.
It's as
Not
if
a
it's
good
a
look.
dangerous
It's a
sport
race.
where it's
Yeah,
fine
it's
margins
crazy, isn't it?
and these things happen.
Yeah, exactly. It is. For me, I think it's just a racing incident, and it's just wrong place, wrong time.
Yep.
Lap 1, I think everything that happens on lap 1 is a racing
yeah.
incident. I know sometimes I get a bit pressed about lap 1 incidents and think the penalties should be handed out, but at the end of the day, lap
Yeah.
1 is a write-off, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. But
Yeah.
it's annoying, and for Alex Marquez, it's really annoying. Like, he was under the weather all weekend, so I don't think he would have done anything spectacular, but points are points at the end of the day, and to have a really crap race on the Saturday where you've literally thrown up in your helmet and then crash out of the race, that's bad.
Yeah.
You just want to bank some points on the Sunday, but then to be taken out not even 1 lap into the race, you're going to want to just go home and have a little cry to
Yeah.
yourself. and
Oh,
just-
yeah, absolutely.
Big cry.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
So I really think he could have done something really impressive this weekend, Alex Marquez, but that is racing after all.
Yep.
Yeah. He will. He
Yes.
will be back
yeah.
in better form in Jerez, definitely.
Yeah, I think so too. So moving on to Moto2, I think the biggest talking point about Moto2 is the fact that Moto2 teams held an emergency meeting on the Saturday at the Grand Prix after 7 bikes stopped suddenly without warning, causing dangerous situations on the track. Although the origin of the breakdown hasn't been located, it seems to be that basically it's a potential issue with the ECU and the electrical switch of a specific supplier that they have not named. I'm reading this from Motorsport from, I can't even read his name, Oriol Puigdemont.
Yeah, that's definitely it.
I can't read that. Oh my God. But basically saying that it's an issue between the electronic unit and the electrical switch of a supplier. There are some bumps on the circuit which seem to be messing the bikes up.
Bumps? They're like freaking speed bumps. What are you talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah.
Some bumps.
Yeah,
mad.
I didn't see any of these things, but yeah, apparently it was Ayagura who nearly got smashed into. Marcos Ramirez and Canet had these issues. And basically Triumph basically set up a meeting and was like, what the face going on. Basically, yeah, the bumps in Austin have increased the problem. Heat is the cause of the coil breaking inside the switch, causing the bikes to stop.
Jesus.
It's terrifying. And I'm wondering if Jake Dixon's walnut crash was to do with that. Maybe his bike locked up, because he didn't even know what the hell went on.
I mean, for Jake's sake, I hope it was, because he said it himself in like after race interviews and stuff that he's not stupid. And he wouldn't, like, he shouldn't be making mistakes like that. And when that happens and the rider says it's 100% not my fault, I agree with the rider in that case, definitely. And I would say it probably was something to do with that. And the fact that they don't get a warm-up. So, you know.
Yeah, I hate the fact that they don't get a warm-up.
Yeah.
Like, Jake Dixon himself has gone on Twitter and basically said, screw everybody who's commented on this and hating on me. Like... Because at the end of the day, it's not really his fault, you know?
He's an easy target. I hate people that get on Jake like that. Like, he's a good guy. And I believe him when he says it wasn't his fault.
Yeah, it is a real shame. It's typical British style, and Josh Watley also stacked in the warm-up lap, which he has done previously as well. Yeah, it's just British riders. We all just look like freaking idiots, don't we? Like, we look at the BSB series and all these riders are like amazing. As soon as they go overseas, it's like, I don't know how to ride a motorbike. Like, just do stupid stuff.
Yeah.
And you're like, come on, man.
It's a shame, because Dixon's good at Kota as well.
Yeah, it's where he got his first podium.
Yeah, he could have had some juicy points, but I don't know. It's been a weird weekend. The racing has been
very odd.
Boring, except maybe, you know,
as always.
Yeah, the racing's been boring, and there's been weird stuff, you know?
Boring?
Yeah.
Oh, mate, both MotoGP races are boring as shit.
Oh, the sprint race was horrendous, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I still haven't made my mind up on it. Like, I'm glad it wasn't as chaotic as what it has been for the first 2 weeks, but the sprint race was boring, and if that ever happens again, I'm going to be really mad about it. Like, what's the point?
No one should win a sprint race by that margin.
I don't think the main races were boring.
I did.
I just found them a bit boring, yeah, I can't lie. Even the Moto3, I was a bit like,
I enjoyed Arbolino and Acosta. That was good.
That was good.
That was good, yeah.
Proper cat and mouse. That was interesting.
But that was such a small fraction of the weekend, really.
They should have showed what was going on behind Acosta and Arbolino a bit more. Though,
I wanted to see that battle for third.
That seemed more interesting. Like, for a lot of the race where Tony was ahead and Pedro was just following him, we didn't need to see that. Last 3 laps is when they should have cut back to the front.
Yep.
But for the rest of it, we should have seen from third place down, because that was where things were exciting. Yeah.
Like, there's so much to go on about with that. Like, we'll go back to Pedro and Arbolino in a minute, but like, both Ben Schneider making up from P6 to P3 on the final lap of the race.
Amazing.
In like one corner, right? It's just
right place, right time.
Yeah, absolutely right place, right time, which is about racing, you know. And Canet absolutely sending it under Furman, riding through him. So then Furman absolutely dunked Canet on the final corner to make his revenge.
Good.
And you're like, I want to see all that. I don't want to see, like, yes, okay, it's great to see it. These two at the front going for it and pushing themselves on the limit, because they were fully on the limit. But it's just like, you want to see the battles behind. Like, the fact that Furman Aldeguer at 17 years old was battling for Podium as well. I think he's 18 now.
He also wrecked his hand.
Did he?
He had a big crash on Saturday, and apparently he's taken like the top of one of his fingers off, or like the skin off the top of one of his fingers off. I wasn't too sure. That's what BT Sport were saying anyway.
I remember seeing the crash. It was gnarly.
Yeah, apparently it was quite nasty, and his hand wasn't in the best shape afterwards.
Gnarly. Yeah, I've literally just Googled it now. We'll see the photos of the absolute smash. Straight into the hour.
Please don't send it to me. I don't.
No, I'm not. I haven't seen any photos of his finger.
Lauren passes out live on the podcast.
Laura doesn't Alex Marquez and folks everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, I found a photo of the glove though.
I'm alright. I don't need to see it.
He posted it. I'll touch it.
The glove still contains
the glove is like ripped open. Like,
jeez.
Oh, he sent it anyway. I'm not opening that.
Let's have a look.
Yeah, but absolutely gnarly glove. Yeah, you can't say anything bad on it. Like, but Yeah, but fair play. If
Savage.
he managed to battle for third place, his first ever podium, with that on his hand as well, damaged finger, because it was like a massive battle. Like they're really close, all of them. Canet just seemed to lose his head,
Yeah.
and then as soon as he got involved with Aldegar, you're not going to win that because Aldegar will literally just slap you up.
He's mental.
Canet seemed like the rookie.
Yeah, he did.
Like
he was
Canet
third at
seemed
one
like
point.
the unexperienced one out of all this. Yeah, all the sort of younger, and Canet's not old, but like the younger up and coming talent that we've been speaking about that are sort of knocking on the doors of Podium. They made Aaron Canet look like a wee boy.
Yeah, there's a point I made the other week on the podcast, the fact that Canet might get leapfrogged for MotoGP.
Yeah.
Because he can't, like, he's not even won a race yet. He's getting dunked by Alcoba, Salach, Aldegar, and Lopez, who are all in the class after him.
Yeah.
And he's finishing in 8th place. Like, you shouldn't be finishing behind these guys. He was, at one point, my podium prediction for Moto2 was correct because Canet was in 3rd place. Canet should have easily battled with Acosta and Arbolino. He led the race here last year. If he wants to be a title contender, he should have been in that scrap for the win. He shouldn't be finished 8th place.
Yeah,
I think
he should be on that
that
level. Yeah.
Yeah. He knew it halfway through the race when he wasn't at the front and he wasn't getting to the front, I think was the issue. And then I think he just got a bit desperate, dare I say.
Yeah, potentially.
So,
Yeah. It's a strange one. It's a strange one. But and Vietti as well, starting on pole and finishing 9th.
Jeez.
Like, what the hell, dude?
Yeah.
This guy's like been put from a GP seat last year, and
if
now
you
look
had
at him,
said that Vietti was pole last year, I would have been like, nah, he's going to win the race.
yeah,
Whereas like it's a surprise, like it wouldn't have been a surprise this time last year for Vietti to get pole position. Whereas this year I seen Vietti was pole position. I was like, what the hell are you doing there?
yeah. I was like, what?
Yeah. Because what he won at Qatar last year in the opening round by like 8 seconds or something. He started last year like he was just the foregone conclusion for the title, and then it just fell away.
One of the best starts to a season we've seen in a long time.
Absolutely bottled it.
Yeah, it's absolutely mental. I don't know what goes on his head, to be honest. But yeah, like, yeah, I just don't understand. It's just like, it just blows my head. And another one, Joe Roberts.
Don't speak to me about Joe Roberts.
Like the fact that he got beaten by Dennis Foggia as well. Like, what the hell's going on, bro?
He's lost.
Like, bro, what's going on?
You don't have to adapt the American accent just because we were racing in America. No, he's lost. He's really, really lost in this class, I think, at the minute. Last year he had, obviously, a race win and a couple podiums. But you've seen at the end of last season, he's struggling.
He's not in
Doesn't seem
the
himself.
right space.
No.
I tell you who
it's
does
not
look good. One Rory Skinner.
Yeah.
Oh,
really good.
doesn't he?
Genuinely
Just?
fully impressed by Rory.
Yeah.
Fully impressed by Rory.
He looks at home on that bike and I fancy him. Let's go.
He looks, oh my God, Cameron. To be fair, I could probably get him on the pod, you know. I'll have
You
to
keep
speak
telling
to,
me this and you keep dangling that
I just
carrot,
don't
but you never get him.
actually speak to anyone.
Got to let the man crush go wild here.
Yeah. It'll happen. But yeah, and Zonta as well did really well in 17th. You get close to that into the point. Sorry. But yeah, solid Moto2 race, and of course Pedro Acosta and Tony Arbolino, clear title favourites, I think, at this point.
Yep.
Scrapped for the race. Really impressive from both of them. Yeah, I'm very impressed.
I'm glad someone's taken a step up in Tony Arbolino to battle against Pedro Acosta. I think from the start of the season, we all sort of thought Pedro Acosta was going to be up there and be pretty much the one to beat, but I thought he was going to sort of run away with it. And again, I know we're only 3 races in, so I can't really say too much, but Tony Arbolino looks so solid on that bike.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, he does.
So solid. He has changed his mindset completely. Like, he is in it to win it this year.
I think
he looks so good.
Arbolino's potentially got more consistency in him, but when Acosta's on it, he's faster.
Hard to beat.
But I think he's just potentially got, like he'll make a mistake, he'll push a bit too hard. Like Arbolino's more of a veteran in the class, so to speak. So I think he's probably got more consistency in him, a bit more experience. So I think he might not get as many wins as Acosta, but he'll get less sort of DNFs or like random 8ths and 9ths and stuff.
Well, he's been more consistent so far, which is impressive. He hasn't been off the podium yet. Yeah. So.
Especially when it comes to the flyaways towards the end of the season as well.
Yeah, that's when he comes
and he was good there last year when we were in the flyaways. Obviously, he won Thailand.
He won, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as well, Arbolino's now won more Moto2 races than he has Moto3 races. And he was freaking good in Moto3.
He should have won the MotoGP champion. Moto3 championship.
He should, yeah.
In 2020, I stand by it. He should have won it that year.
Yeah, it is a shame. It is a shame, but yeah, he's doing super good. Agura
will be back though.
Agura, I think he's already out of it.
No, he will come back, but I don't think he will affect the championship. But I think he'll be the one to sort of pick up the pieces when Tony and Pedro make mistakes, or one of the ones to pick up pieces.
Maybe. I think that's.
I don't know. He's been injured, so we don't know what he's like this year. Like, he was injured before the season started, so we don't know where his head's at. We don't know how good he is on the bike, and like if he's still licking his wounds after last year or what.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I think he might also be thinking, I don't want to injure myself anymore, because he basically knows he's inheriting Nakagami's seat, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's probably thinking,
just a matter of time.
Yeah, I'll ride safe. I'll, avoid injuries and just step up at the end of the season. I'll do my thing. He's probably already kind of, he's probably watching last week or this weekend, watching Acosta and Arbolino and thinking, I don't want to push that hard. That would have been again to probably get outdone by a KTM bike, let's be honest. And he's probably like, that's fine, whatever. I'm injured. I'll just come back. I'll focus on my strength and my own shit, and then just move up next year. Good. Everyone's happy. Yeah.
That's the way I see it. But
you are? Well,
apart from Taka Nakagami.
I know, but he knows it's happening as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Let's be honest.
Unfortunately.
He probably can't be honest. He's probably fucking sick of that Honda.
Like, I fucking hated this bloody thing. Get in a Ducati.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's getting his retirement fund and he's out of there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
if he can get out of this season unscathed, not have any life-changing injuries from this Honda, I think he's done all right, to be honest. Been on it for long enough.
And going to Moto3, we'll continue with their countrymen, with Ayumu Sasaki, who crashed again.
He didn't just crash, he got nearly sent to space at the same time.
That was Suzuki. Did Sasaki have a crash?
Sasaki had a high side.
Did he?
Suzuki had a high side.
Sorry,
Ivan Ortola nearly had a high side. It was horrendous.
It was a high side city. When Gabriel Rodrigo would have been all over that. Yeah. Sasaki, he...
I'm sure he's sitting at home thinking, thank God I retired.
Yeah,
thank God.
But Sasaki just... bro, you're meant to be fighting for a championship here and you've crashed our last 2 races.
Like Qatar last year.
Now? Yeah.
Stop.
Literally, where is he now? He is... Oh my God, I'm scrolling down. 16th.
Come on.
Dude. He's 16th. He's got 10 points. He's 39 points back already.
That's pretty bad. Who's first?
He's on the same points as Scott Ogden.
Holgado and Moreira are leading the championship. And yes, Scott has more points than Ayumu Sasaki.
Called it.
Fucking Andrea Migno has more points than him.
Migno's in the top 10. It's incredible.
Yeah, he's 12th now, but he was 6th.
He was in the top 10 anyway.
It's a shame, really.
Yeah, he's going to have to turn this around. But Pecco came back from 90 points down. Sasaki can come back from 30-something. Right?
39. It is early, like, as we know. But
Holgado's, I think, making brand moves here in Moto3. He's being consistent. He's staying within the top 5. And he's saying he's not getting involved. And I think that is smart.
I think Holgado... Well, I said about... It's hilarious, actually. A few podcasts ago, I mentioned these like Spanish riders that are the Spanish Armadas come through, and the 1, 2, 3. Obviously, Moreira's Brazilian, as I've mentioned. The 1, 2, 3 of this Moto3 race are all 3 of the riders that I have mentioned, or 3 of those riders with Holgado, Moreira, and Artigas. 1, 2, 3. Ortola. Oh, that's in the championship standings. Another rider I mentioned on that was Ivan Ortola, who freaking won the race. David Salvador is 7th. David Alonso, who is a rookie and has never been to the circuit before, was 8th place. He's 16. He's the youngest kid on the grid.
He'll come good.
He's never even been here before.
Oh, yeah.
He'll come good.
Like, the talent. And then Moreda, rookie, 10th place.
Yeah.
The talent that is on that grid at the moment is disgustingly good. Like, and it's all coming from Spain. Like, yes, Alonso runs a Colombian flag, but he's pretty sure born in Madrid.
Where are they all going to go in 5 years?
That's the problem. The funnel is
they haven't been brutal enough in MotoGP in the last couple of years.
They need to be savage. Like, I could give you, if I wanted to be savage, I could give you 6 MotoGP riders to cut off right now.
Go.
Oh.
Really? Go? Okay. Alessio Spargaro. If I was going to be savage, Alessio Spargaro, Ralph Fernandez, Takaki Nakagami, Di Antonio, Franco Morbidelli, and Zarco, if I was being savage. I'd sack all those riders off.
I agree with those. Maybe not
I agree with all of them, but I'd rather you said it than me.
Yeah. I'd sack them all off and then you go into Moto2, and I could be horrendously savage if you want me to.
Oh, God, yeah.
Moto2. I'd sack off Jake Dixon, I'd sack off Della Porta, I'd sack off Marcos Ramirez, I'd sack off, going through the grid, Joe Roberts, I'd sack off Sam Lowes, Albert Arenas, Vietti.
Who loved Albert Arenas on this podcast? Was it Jacob?
Me.
It was you?
It's me as well. Yeah, I'd sack them all off if I was being savage.
Disgusting.
For these Spanish riders.
Disgusting. You changed your mind pretty quick.
You've changed. I know.
You have?
But that's the thing. If I'm being fully savage, like, I still think Arenas has got stuff in him, but like, because they need to be this savage because of the level of talent that's coming up. Because where the hell in the next few years is Moreira, Holgado, Artigas, Macia's not got a chance. Suzuki's too old now. Ortola, if we're being savage. Ortola needs to go up. Muñoz, if he can stop fucking murking everyone. Raider, Salvador at some point. Onshu, if he can actually start winning some races. David Alonso as well. Joel Kelso's got it in him. Colin Vire.
Ogden,
if he can get some.
He'll be the next Brit moving up.
Yeah, 100%. If he can get these results in. And freaking David Almanza, for example, is not even in the class full time and will get a seat next year, I can guarantee you, and he will be on it straight away.
They haven't been brutal since 2020 is the problem.
They need to be savage with it, because when we go into this, like Ivan Ortola was a rookie last year, and then he comes to Moto3 full-time this year, nearly crashes T1 and makes the entire grid look like they're standing still, winning the race for his first ever win.
Pedro Costa style.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, the talent in Moto3 is ridiculous at the moment.
Yeah. Moto2's got a lot of room to be making cuts and being pretty savage, I think.
Off.
Yeah.
But so does MotoGP is the thing. There are riders there. Like, I fully agree with all the names that have been mentioned, and unless they take a step up, what are you doing there?
Yeah, like I was being maybe a bit harsh with Zarco because
I don't know.
Yeah,
he's
but
been
then
there 6 years now.
Will he ever win a championship? Will he ever win a
season?
championship? Probably not. Could you get Tony Arbolino there, who could battle for podiums and wins? Yes, young blood. Zarco's one of the oldest riders on that grid. If Marc Marquez can't cut the mustard, I'm sorry, but
Pedro Costa's taking your seat.
Yeah, like, if we're being savage, Marc Marquez is on that chopping board as well.
Yeah.
Because you're only as good as your last race in racing, and the thing is, like, there are a lot of riders who are there because of their passport, things like that, which I do hate. Nakagami shouldn't really be there. If we're taking the passport out of it, there's plenty of Moto2 riders who could step up and should have stepped up really and would be really good. But yeah, but the fact that Artigas is finally coming good, if he can continue this momentum as well, he's third in the championship, that would be a massive confidence boost for him.
That was quite a long-winded explanation just to get back to Artigas there. I just realised that.
But Artigas, we say about this, these riders, you're looking at top 10 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them are the riders I mentioned in that Spanish Armada.
Wow, all hail deck.
Yeah. But it's incredible. And the fact that friggin' Ortola's absolutely slapped them all up is hilariously incredible, considering he's barely been there. Jamin Masia at this point, if he doesn't do it this year...
Which he won't.
No, he's going to be like Muñoz. He's going to be a Moto3 veteran. And considering how much pedigree he came into the class with when he looked unbelievable in his first few rounds and things like that as a standing rider, and then...
I'll stand up for Masia. Some people aren't built to move up.
Like Lorenzo Dalla Porta.
Some people are Moto3 riders. Some people are Moto2 riders solely. Some people are solely MotoGP riders. And then you've got Superbikes, Super Sport, whatever.
Yeah.
Some people are just made to ride that one bike.
Yeah,
and
John McPhee, perfect example.
Yeah, they're not made to move around. And
this is why they should get rid of the age limits.
Yeah, I worry that Jamin Masia is becoming one of those people.
Is a small bike veteran. And there's nothing wrong with that. Angel Nieto made an entire career of it. He won 13, 12 plus 1 world titles in the lower classes. That's more than okay. But then Dorna needs to be able to do something that can protect this whilst also bringing new talent to the fore, because you don't want riders like Andrea Mignot, Romano Fanati on the grid when there are perfectly capable riders.
I've got an idea.
Come in and do it.
Keep the age limit and then just start a new class.
Oh my
ones that reach the age limit. Imagine
that would be so
the
good.
talent. It'd be incredible.
Veterans. Yeah. The Moto3 veteran series. That would be sick. Oh, mate, that'd be so good.
Someone sponsor me and I'll just run it myself.
Yeah, okay. European rounds only or whatever.
Yep.
Or do part of the FIM Chev, for example.
Yep.
That'd be amazing. But yeah, back onto the Moto3 race. Stefano Nipper has a fractured leg, according to Dorna's things, but I did read something else that said that he hasn't got a fractured leg, but I'm going to go from Dorna, who said he's got a broken leg, from everybody's favourite, I'm trying to think of a word, steamroller maybe, David Muñoz.
Bowling ball is my personal favourite.
Yeah, bowling ball's a good one. This kid does not learn his lessons whatsoever, does he?
He's Dennis Onchu 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But that's all it is.
But Muñoz has been like this since he was about 6 years old.
It's concerning.
The amount of people I've spoken to of I remember them when this kid was freaking 4 years old and he was clattering into people, and you're like, he doesn't learn his lesson. And even I freaking told him, I was like, when you get to the Moto3 World Championship, you can't still be doing this shit. And he's still doing this shit. And you're like...
You mean he didn't listen to you?
Oh, yeah.
I know. He didn't listen to almighty
on.
Declan. Come on, bro. But
Jeez.
you will not get snapped up. I know, right? But you will not get snapped up. Doesn't matter how many good results you have. You can't and will not get snapped up by top teams if you have a reputation for crashing into people, smashing up bikes, and genuinely just disgracing the team and the sponsors and things like that because of your erratic maneuvers and ruining future races for yourself. He's got double long that penalty at Jerez because of it. Jerez is a track I would have picked him to win.
They need to go harsher. They need to go harsher is the issue with them. He's a repeat offender. He's done it on multiple occasions. They need to do what they did with Dennis Onchu a couple of years ago. Give him race bans, step up the penalties, and he will learn eventually. He's going to have to learn, because if he keeps going the way he's going, not only is he injuring other people, he's going to injure himself eventually if he keeps going on the way he's going. And he's going to get so many bloody race bans and basically a black flag against his name. People, like you said, people aren't going to want them, sort of thing. But they, in Moto3, should step up the penalties a lot faster. Repeat offenders should be penalised.
To cut this out.
Yeah.
Of all the riders on Moto3, most kids are worried about Muñoz. You don't have to speak to Joel Kelso to get his opinion on David Muñoz. but he just needs to sort it out because, if the broken leg is actually a thing, obviously because there are two conflicting things now, if he has broken Stefano Nipper's leg after he broke it last year, you're not only damaging your own races, you're ruining other riders' potential careers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that leg break last year was scary. We were talking about this crash before we started recording. Like, we watched Stefano Nipper's leg break in that crash.
Horrid.
And if it's the same leg and, like, if that's caused the same injury sort of thing, I'd be so worried because there's only so many times you can fix that
a
sort of thing.
Bone, as Marc Marquez would tell you,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, at this point, he's like not only a danger to himself, he's now endangering other riders. Like, because Nipper every rider on that grid is in the hunt for a seat next year. From the second the wheels start spinning in Portimao, riders and teams are looking around to see what's about. And teams want every rider. And if Nipper can't prove himself, thankfully though, I think the fact that he's got Alessandro Tanucci as a team manager will help him. Tanucci even put a thing up today. It was like, always with you, Nipper, which is really nice. Do like Tanucci for that. But Muñoz has a chance to ruin other people's careers. It doesn't matter for Muñoz. He's 16. He's got loads of time left in Moto3. But for a kid like Nipper, I think he's 23, time's running out. And he wants a Moto2 seat, I'm sure, in the next few years. And if he can't prove himself because he's sat on the sidelines for so long because of a broken leg, because Muñoz can't make a clean move, then this is why bans need to be in place.
Yeah, big time.
But yeah, moving on. What do you think of Dennis Onshu this race? He finished 6th. I've put on the notes, I expect more from him.
Yeah, I was wanting him up. Yeah, pretty much on the top step.
Because he was 9.5 seconds away from the winner.
Really?
In 6th. Holgado was 0.6, meaning Onshu was very firmly in that second group behind the rider that he replaced, in the IO squad. They did a swap, Holgado and Onshu swap places.
Has Onshu ever had a good race at Coda though? Like, he caused that serious crash there a couple of years ago. In 2022, I don't remember him doing anything.
No, I'll have a look. I'll get it up now quick. So he didn't race 2019. What the fuck is ANC? Oh, that's 2020. That's fine. Ignore that. America 5th place in 2021, and then obviously. And then last year he got 5th place again. And he got 6th this year. So it's about okay for it. But now he's in the IO squad. Now he's a championship contender. Where's the championship classification? Hilariously, where the frick is it gone? There it is. Right. Holgado leading the championship, who obviously did the swap with Onshu, as we said. Diogo Moreira was meant to ride for the IO squad as well, but lost out because Onshu stayed there. The top 2 riders, and then Jaume Masia in 4th, all 3 riders are higher than him in the championship. All 3 of them have either raced for that team or were going to race for that team at some point. He's even being beaten by his teammate, Jose Antonio Rueda, who is a freaking rookie in the championship. Onshu was signed to win the championship so that he can get a Moto2 seat with the same team next year. And he is so far down the order already.
I don't know, I'm contradicting myself because I've already been calling so-and-so's going to win the championship or be involved in the fight this year. But with Onshu, I'm like, we're 3 races in.
Yeah, we need to give him time, of course.
There's so long left. I am slightly disappointed, but then at the same time, when you look at the last couple of years now, you sort of realise seems about right for him. Yeah. I think
he'll come good.
He will come good. He knows he's got to win the race. He did throw it away in Argentina last weekend, but he knows not to make that mistake again, sort of thing. I don't know. I think he will come good, or I expect him to come good later on in the season, and that he's got enough time that I wouldn't be worried at this stage if I was Dennis Onshu. But I mean, at halfway through the season, if things haven't changed, obviously there's an issue there, and they maybe made the wrong call, but. In Onshu's case, 3 races in, we'll just chill out about it for now, but keep an eye on it, sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
sounds good. Okay. One last thing before we move on to predictions. we were all raving about Andrea Mignot and the story of his career. Insanely inconsistent at the next race. Kind of obvious why he doesn't have a seat, unfortunately.
Sadly, yeah. It was, would have been good to see him up there again, but that's it. But then again, it's Kota. Do you know, if it had been European track, who knows? But here we are.
Who knows?
Everyone was on the same
home
track.
Race, home race, Italy or something. It would have. I could have seen him winning it or something.
I see him get a wild card, like
yeah. He'll be back.
Yeah.
It's not the last we'll see of him.
No, absolutely not. Okay, right. Moving on to predictions. I'm not going to read out the points because it confuses everybody, but I'll read out the points as people score them instead.
Okay.
So, for Moto3, going into the weekend, the points were standing as myself in the lead with 37, Cameron second, 23, and Lauren with 14 and third. Finishing fourth and a third.
Don't put hurdles in my way that I don't need, apparently.
Yeah, sorry. Right, so Moto3 pole position was Jaume Masia. Myself and Cameron went for Sasaki and Lauren went for Masia. So she scored a point.
Nice.
Yeah.
Legend.
The Moto3 podium was Ortola, then Masia, then Artigas. I went for Onshu, Suzuki, Moreira, 0 points. Cameron went for Sasaki, Ogden, Muñoz, 0 points. Lauren went for Masia, Onshu, Holgado. You get a point.
Nice.
Go on,
So
Jaume Masia. Who would have thought he'd be scoring me points this weekend?
I know. So Lauren's up to 16 points now.
Wow.
Moving to Moto2, it was Vietti on pole. I went for Acosta, Cameron Salach, Lauren Dixon. I went for Canet, Arbolino and Acosta. Could have had all three there. Arbolino was second, so I get 5 points. And Acosta was first, and I put him third, so I get a point. So I scored 6 points. Cameron went for Acosta, Arbolino, Gonzalez. He scores 15 points.
What?
Oh, no, I've screwed this up.
And Lauren went for Arbolino to win, Dixon second, Canet third, so she scores a point.
Oh, I thought I had Acosta in there too. I'm an idiot.
No.
Oh, do you know what it was? I said I didn't trust him after last week.
You did. I
Oh,
distinctly remember it.
I remember you saying it.
I was watching the race being like, Lauren, you should always trust our Lord and Saviour, Pedro Acosta.
Yeah, Pedro Acosta.
God, that's the last time I ever doubt him again.
Don't doubt Pedro. Yeah. So the points tally, leaving that, is myself on 43, Cameron on 38, and Lauren was 17.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
I really thought that was me when you said that someone made a jump in points. I was like, I am on the money.
No,
I am
unfortunately
on the
not.
money.
So heading to the MotoGP class, it was Bagnaia on pole. I went for Marquez, Cameron Martin, Lauren Marini. The actual pole, and then for the sprint race victor, I went for Alex Marquez. Cameron went for Bagnaia, gets 10 points, and Lauren went for Miller. In the actual race, it was Rins, Marini, and Quartararo. I went Zarco, Bazzetti, Marini, so I get a point. Cameron went for Marquez, Bazzetti, Binder, so he scored 0. And Lauren went for Bazzetti, Marini, Quartararo.
I can't believe it happened.
So I get a point, Cameron gets 10, Lauren gets 10. So the final standings leaving Kota is Cameron in the lead with 48.
Let's go.
Myself in second with 44. And Lauren in third with 27. So you're not that far behind, to be fair.
How far behind am I? Like 20 points?
27 minus, the 44 minus 27 off the top of my head.
17.
I can't remember. There you go.
17, yeah.
So, yeah.
It's all to play for,
Not
guys.
bad.
It's all to play for.
It's all to play for. The fact that Cameron went from 23 to 48, more than doubled his tally in one weekend.
That's juicy.
It's all to play
That's
for.
just Kota things, though. You know, we'll get to Europe and I'm going to be off it. That's what happened last year. I'm pretty sure I started strong and then it just went tits up.
The flyaways.
Yeah, you had the lead for ages.
The flyaways.
Yeah,
later
it's always the
on.
flyaways. But yeah, I think that's all we've got time for. It's it's past 11 o'clock at night now. We're all tired.
It's true.
We're nocturnal at this point, guys.
Yeah, we are. It's my fault. Sorry. But yes, I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. And we're back next time with the Jerez predictions and whatever else. We haven't talked about Marquez very quickly.
Oh.
Which one?
They've suspended Marquez's sentence for double long run penalty.
Stay of execution.
Sorted.
Yeah.
That's all we need.
Sounds like he's about to go up like on a stage somewhere. And get his
Yeah,
head
and
chopped
his head
off.
lopped off.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yes, I hope you enjoyed listening, and we're back next time. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.